Alaska's news source.
I am here as a thriving inspiration for all who suffer from things we may not see.
Today on the Morning Edition, determined, inspiring, and making a difference. Meet the young Alaska woman turning her own struggles into hope for others. Plus, a high-stakes decision that could shape the future of Alaska's schools. A major funding boost is on the table, impacting students, teachers, and communities across the state. And later,
it really changed the face of what we see today and what we know today as Alaska.
a missing piece of Alaska's foundation, forged in gold, has finally returned. Discover how the fight to bring home a treasure from our past became a victory for the future as the Morning Edition starts now. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Starting off a new week on a Monday, ending April soon, going into May.
And it's been a wet one for a large portion of the month. Of course, last week we did see our stretch of some sunshine and quieter conditions, but through the weekend we saw those cloud coverage returning and those rain showers beginning to spread inland yesterday. And we are waking up this morning to some of that light showery activity that remains with us, and that's going to stick around here over the next couple of days. Really through at least the middle of the week is where we're going to continue to hold on to that chance for some rain. We're currently at 40 degrees, winds remaining fairly calm. We're going to continue to hold on to those daily lows sitting in the upper 30s and the lower 40s for a good portion of South Central. Outside of areas through the Glen Highway, as you nestle in between the valleys of those mountain ranges, the Talkeetna and the Chugach Range, that's where we're seeing some of that colder air funneling in. As a result, we are waking up to some light snow showers for Eureka and locations through the Glen Highway, but most areas seeing all rain to start off your Monday morning. And that rain has been building in through the overnight hours. Very showery in nature, not heavy rainfall at all for a large portion of the region. You can see two areas, one right here across western parts of South Central. That includes the Kenai, Anchorage into the valley. And then we've got a band of some heavier activity or some rainier showers as you head out towards Prince William Sound. Now, the rain itself hasn't been heavy in nature. Most locations have seen less than 1/10 of an inch of rainfall. But here over the next couple of days, we are going to see some of that heavier rainfall, bringing the potential for 1 to 3 inches out towards coastal regions. Inland locations, much like we did see with past previous systems, will likely deal with less than 1/4 of an inch of rainfall. But this wet weather will carry us through the middle of the week. There's those coastal regions through at least Wednesday morning where we could see 1 to 3 inches of that rainfall. I'll have more on that 7-day forecast, and just how warm we'll get this week despite that cloud coverage. Those details for you coming up.
Well, we begin this morning with Capitol coverage. A key education funding bill is moving forward in Juneau with the vote expected today. After advancing out of the Senate Finance Committee, a $700 per student increase is now headed to the Senate floor. House Bill 57, originally a school cell phone bill, was amended to include the boost to the base student allocation, also known as the BSA. The bill was in second reading on the Senate floor Friday. Governor Mike Dunleavy weighed in on social media, saying that he would sign the bill if lawmakers restore reading grants, add open enrollment, fully fund correspondence students, and include charter school reforms. Notably, those changes would further align this bill with the governor's own education funding bill, which he proposed after the veto of House Bill 69.
Give the world a brand new start.
Well, back in Anchorage, a choir teacher at Bettye Davis East Anchorage High School is retiring this year, and the program that she built now faces an uncertain future. Melissa Fisher spent 14 years growing the music department, but due to the Anchorage School District's budget deficit, her full-time position won't be replaced. Fisher and her students hope the choir program will continue in some form, even if it looks different next year.
A club before or after school does not constitute a choir. These kids need to have the opportunity to study it, to be a part of that team, because many of them have the talent to do post-secondary studies in vocal music.
When you think you can't make a difference, try and you might prove yourself wrong. Say hello to folks on the other side, try to get along.
These choir students want lawmakers to know that their decisions will shape future students' experiences and their future careers.
I have a younger brother, and I have younger friends and peers, and I really want them to be able to have all the same experiences that I've had in choir and in other fine arts programs.
Education's important, and it's not just the STEM that's important. It's not just the curriculum that they put through that's important. We have to fund our schools, And we have to have teachers for different things, because if we expect people to know what they want to do when they're 18 out of high school, then we have to give them every opportunity to know who they are and what they want to do.
We should note the school district did not allow us to interview Fisher or her students on campus, so we spoke with them off campus instead. Well, last week, the Fairbanks North Star Borough Assembly passed a new ordinance requiring hand-counted audits of election results. The vote was close, passing 5-4. The new rule calls for hand counts in 2 random precincts after each election. Supporters say it will help build public trust, while opponents question the reliability of voting machines. Assembly members debated the ordinance and the importance of election integrity before casting their final votes.
There is a large group of people in this borough, in the state, in the nation, that don't trust them, and they've decided to drop out of the voting process. That, to me, is wrong. For whatever reason, it's wrong.
What it comes down to is trusting your friends and neighbors and the volunteers that make this system work. And if you have concerns, you get involved.
The ordinance was amended to include a hand count of random contested races from early voting as well. A first-of-its-kind community solar project is set to launch this summer. Chugach Electric is installing more than 1,500 solar panels right now. Instead of paying high upfront costs, customers can subscribe paying a monthly fee per panel and getting credit for the energy produced. The goal is to make renewable energy more affordable and accessible for more Alaskans.
This is the first community solar project in Alaska. We're very excited as we hear people say they want to get off fossil fuels, they want to be a part of the energy future. This is that opportunity.
Chugach Electric expects its community solar project to begin producing power this summer. You can find enrollment details on our website or through our mobile app.
I wanted to show you beforehand what the craft we're doing today is. So we're using washi tapes. And instead of coloring with colors, we are going to color with tape.
One Anchorage artist is now hosting events, creating a space they say was missing from their community. Inside Rage City Vintage, Audrey Stravosky hosts a monthly queer art jam. It's creating a welcoming space for LGBTQ+ artists in Anchorage. The event takes place on the last Sunday of each month, featuring different art projects using materials Stravosky provides. Looking for a more low-key daytime option outside of nightlife, they built one themselves.
I kind of had this vision for a little while, mostly because I wanted that space for myself, and I kind of wish there was an already existing one. And there could be one, and I haven't found it yet. But I figured if I want it, there's probably others that want it too. So why not?
At just 20 years old, an Alaska woman is turning her own health struggles into a mission to help others. Hayden Inman is raising money, raising awareness, and proving that a chronic illness doesn't have to define your future. Tiffany Alexander has her story.
I started a nonprofit a few months ago called I'm Chronically Courageous.
20-year-old Hayden Inman started her nonprofit in November of 2024. She wanted to create change and be a role model for young women in Alaska who struggle with chronic illness.
Treatment can be very, very expensive. Just for a single syringe of medicine, it can cost up to $26,000. And you need that every couple of weeks for people who have more severe chronic illnesses. And without insurance, that can be pretty scary for a lot of people. So being able to raise funds for treatment and also funds for research is the goal, where we can make chronic illnesses not so chronic anymore.
For her, the fight is personal as she deals with her own battle with Crohn's disease.
A few months leading up to when I was diagnosed, I was experiencing a lot of different symptoms, fatigue, and just, this was also in the height of COVID. So we were dealing with that in the lockdown. And so having a lot of time to myself, I would say, I started reflecting on how I felt in my symptoms. And finally, I mentioned it to my mom, and my mom's a nurse. And so I mentioned what was going on, and she was like, oh my goodness, are you serious? So we went to the doctor, did a whole bunch of tests and whatever, and in May of 2020, I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease.
She has a close-knit support system with her boyfriend and family, and she didn't let her diagnosis stop her. In fact, it fueled her drive to try for bigger things, like her participation in the Miss Alaska organization.
Last year when I competed, I actually did a her story. A lot of people will do dancing or singing. Last year I chose to use this moment to advocate for myself.
After diagnosis, taking myself out of reality became easier than living within it. With grit, I pushed myself into a place of accomplishment. I am here as a thriving inspiration for all who suffer from things we may not see. Becoming a woman conquering a debilitating illness is my motivation.
Hayden has currently raised about $1,000 for her nonprofit by sharing her story and passing out info cards.
Having a chronic illness is not who you are, it's who you become and who you make yourself be. Don't let your chronic illness define who you are. Don't let it limit you, because it is only an opportunity for you to become something amazing.
Tiffany Alexander, Alaska's news source.
After the break on this National Superhero Day, we're spotlighting a real-life hometown one, a young woman from Anchorage who turned her passion for video games and animation into a voice acting career, her incredible journey. And later, it's all about that can-do spirit, stacking cans to feed the community. Anchorage artists turned food into life-saving sculptures at this year's Construction events.
Wet weather has made a return to South Central. I'll have more on that, as well as those temperatures and what to expect as we see April come to a close. Those details, but first at sunrise, 5:58 in Anchorage, 5:10 in Juneau. Your full forecast is next.
Well, good morning and welcome back here on your Monday. Closing out the month of April, Alyeska Resort wrapped up ski season with a slushy weekend of celebrations. Olivia Nordyke was there for the Slush Cup and takes us right into the action.
It's the last weekend of April at Alyeska Resort, and the wettest. Skiers at the 2025 Slush Cup were graded on the length they traveled, how much air they caught, styles, tricks, and their costumes. Not all who dressed up looked the same once they came out of the water, and only several crossed the water completely.
His way down, speed. I think this one might make it across. Going for style. I'm not sure. Oh! Oh! There he goes. Oh!
Either way, most were left pretty soaked. Olivia Nordyke, Alaska's news source.
I don't know, cold water and almost rounding out the winter. Still, it's a big event, draws a lot of people, Aaron.
Yeah, I mean, we've been seeing those temperatures, 40s, 50s. That right there lets you know that spring is officially here. And we've been talking about those wet conditions for quite some time this month. It certainly has been above average precipitation. That has helped when it comes to our wildfire threat across South Central with that rainfall. But despite the rain, we are still seeing that moderate wildfire danger. I do just want to bring your attention to that. And warming temperatures continue to build back in across the state. We're still seeing those highs in the 40s and the 50s. And later this week, we're going to see those temperatures potentially climbing into the mid-50s. So active weather has made a return to the Gulf Coast region for both South Central as well as Southeast, where we are waking up this morning to some of that rain that has made a return to the region. And then as we head out towards Southwest Alaska, we do have some light areas of wintry mix that is occurring this morning. Really started out as some rain showers through the overnight hours, transitioning to some snow to start off this morning. And then we're going to see that transition back to a wintry mix, if not rain, throughout the remainder of the day. And then, of course, that area of low pressure in the eastern Gulf of Alaska, keeping rain with us for both South Central as well as Southeast. And we'll see the potential for these on and off rain showers to remain with us the next couple of days. Notice how it kind of tapers off through the afternoon hours. We'll see some dry time later today and then picking right back up overnight on into your Tuesday. We're not talking about widespread rainfall. It's really just going to be on and off scattered showers that will remain with us across South Central through at least the next couple of days. So rain remains for Southeast. You can see later this afternoon, things begin to dry out outside of some lingering activity through the Matsu Valley. And then as we welcome in the overnight hours on into tomorrow, there's that secondary band of rain that's going to begin to build back in across South Central. And we'll see this staying with us through at least Wednesday, these on and off rain showers for a good portion of South Central. Of course, the better opportunity of seeing that rain will be the Gulf Coast region. Inland areas will be holding on to some of that isolated to scattered activity. So wetter and cloudier weather remains through the middle of the week. We can't rule out a few stray showers to close out the week, but we're really going to hold on to the next couple of days, seeing our better chance for that rain in the forecast. So if you have any plans to do some car washing, you may want to hold off until after about Thursday or Friday. Those temperatures today will be warming into the upper 40s. We may see a few locations managing to climb into the 50s. And then looking as we close out April and welcome in May, you can see a good portion of the state will continue this tilt towards wetter conditions, which again will certainly help us when it comes to that wildfire threat across the state. We've got those temperatures mid to upper 40s across the Kenai. May see some breezy conditions throughout the afternoon hours with max winds up to about 25 miles per hour. Mid 40s through Prince William Sound, 49 in Golcana. And of course, if you're driving along the Glen Highway east of Sutton, you can expect to encounter some light snow showers this morning before transitioning to a wintry mix. Mid to upper 40s through the valley. And of course, here in Anchorage, we'll see a high of about 47 degrees. Those rain showers will be on and off the next couple of days, and we'll see temperatures flirting with 50 degrees. And then later this week, as we do begin to see drier conditions, still holding on to that cloud coverage, though, low to mid 50s look possible. So steadily warming, and before you know it, we're going to see those flowers blooming, those trees green up arriving. So we'll need a matter of time before that occurs.
Yeah, I can't wait for that. Thanks, Aaron. Today is National Superhero Day, a perfect time to celebrate those who bring our favorite characters to life. One Alaskan is doing just that, turning a love for TV and video games into a major career in voice acting. Jo Allgood has her story.
Yeah! Everyone's going to stare at me now.
Watching her favorite characters in television and video games, Kira Buckland knew early on that she wanted to be involved.
Sort of realizing that there were people who do the voices and deciding that's what I wanted to do.
Far from the center of the entertainment industry, Buckland grew up right here in Anchorage. Getting her start early on, she produced voiceovers for friends and locals, but ultimately felt it was time for a change.
Moving to LA was the big thing that I needed to do to start working in the industry and doing this as my job. And I miss Anchorage. I would still live here if it were up to me, but I have to be in LA for work.
From there, Buckland has voiced hundreds of characters in series and video games watched around the world, even a few of her own favorites.
So my favorite franchise of all time is JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I love JoJo's. I even got a tattoo that the character I play has long before I ever played her.
While still living in LA, Buckland visits home from time to time. And not just for personal reasons, but also on business, like being a featured guest at Arctic Comic-Con 2025.
It's really exciting. I do come back to Anchorage a lot to visit my family, but it's always fun when I get to do a convention on top of it.
Grateful for the fans that she meets, Buckland credits those who've helped her get where she is now.
I'm fortunate enough to help bring these characters to life, but it's really thanks to the people who write these stories and draw and animate this art and everything like that, create the stories people love. And I'm just a small part of that, but very thankful to be a part of it.
Jo Allgood, Alaska's news source.